What happens when the carefully crafted empire of the Sister Wives universe starts to crumble? When control, drama, and public perception are no longer enough to dictate the story. Today, we uncover the shocking truth behind Janelle's refusal to play by the rules, the mysterious man who stands beside her, and the ripple effects that leave Cody and the family reeling. Stay tuned as we dive deep into the secrets, scandals, and hidden dynamics that are changing everything you thought you knew about this polygamous dynasty. They offered him everything: the fame, the spotlight, the money, the guarantees, the promises that usually bend anyone who stands in the path of reality television. And for years, that formula worked without fail, because everyone has a price, and everyone eventually folds when the cameras keep rolling. But this time, something unexpected happened, something that shook the entire Sister Wives ecosystem to its core. Because for the first time in 18 seasons, the machine was told no. Not a soft maybe, not a delayed negotiation, not a counteroffer, but a clean, decisive refusal. And that refusal changed the rules overnight. Because this was not just any storyline. This was Janelle Brown, a woman whose journey has been defined by patience, logic, sacrifice, and endurance. A woman who spent years supporting a system that rarely supported her back. Her exit was not explosive, it was quiet, calculated, and rooted in self-respect. And now, that same quiet strength is defining her next chapter. Insiders say the network believed they had gold, a redemption arc, a new romance, a fresh emotional hook that would reignite interest and reshape the narrative. They saw what happened when Christine moved on, and they assumed lightning would strike twice. But they underestimated the power of boundaries, because this mystery man allegedly looked at the offer, looked at the cameras, and looked at Janelle and chose her peace over public approval. And that single decision sent a message louder than any televised argument ever could. It told the world that love does not need an audience, and happiness does not need validation. And that idea alone is dangerous to a system built on exposure, because exposure is currency. And when someone refuses to trade it, the balance of power collapses. Fans immediately sensed the shift because Janelle herself began moving differently, speaking differently, and reacting less. She was no longer explaining her choices, no longer defending her boundaries, no longer engaging in circular conflict. She was simply living. And that silence unsettled those who rely on reaction to survive. Because reaction feeds relevance, and without it, the spotlight dims. Speculation exploded online because viewers are trained to fill silence with theory. And the most compelling theory was not about scandal or betrayal, but about consistency. The idea that this man was not new at all, that he had seen Janelle long before the cameras noticed her, that he had witnessed her effort, her vulnerability, her discipline, and her growth during moments that never made it to air. And that possibility reframed everything, because it suggested that this relationship was built on reality, not reality television. And that distinction matters, because reality television rewards performance, while real life rewards presence. And that difference explains why the refusal hit so hard, because it was not just a rejection of a contract, it was a rejection of a role, the role of replacement patriarch, replacement hero, replacement storyline. And by refusing that role, this man removed himself from comparison, confrontation, and control. And that absence created fear, because you cannot dominate what you cannot access. Fans began rewatching old seasons, noticing how Janelle slowly detached emotionally long before she ever said she was done. How she stopped negotiating, stopped pleading, stopped shrinking. And that transformation did not happen overnight. It was gradual, disciplined, and internal. The kind of change that comes from rebuilding self-trust. And that is why audiences are so invested, because they recognize that journey. They see the work behind the outcome, and that makes the payoff feel earned. This is not a fairy tale rescue. This is a woman choosing herself and finding someone who respects that choice. The suspense now is not about when he will appear, but whether he ever will. And that question keeps viewers watching, because mystery holds more power than revelation. The longer this relationship remains protected, the more it challenges the idea that everything meaningful must be shared. And in a world that profits from oversharing, privacy becomes rebellion, and rebellion reshapes narratives. And as the silence continues, it forces everyone watching to confront an uncomfortable truth, that the most compelling story may be the one that refuses to be told. The refusal to participate has ripple effects that extend far beyond Janelle and her new partner, because in the Brown family universe, every action is a transaction, every interaction a calculated move, and when one player opts out, it shifts the strategy for everyone else. Cody Brown's response to this situation has been described as spiraling because he is not accustomed to losing control over narrative or perception. He has built his identity around authority, influence, and visibility, and suddenly all three are compromised. His usual leverage over the wives rested on visibility. He could manipulate their image for the cameras. He could control which moments were broadcast and which were hidden, and by extension, he controlled how the public perceived them. He controlled the narrative through both access and editing, but a man who refuses the camera undermines that control instantly because he cannot be staged, cannot be cornered, cannot be forced to perform or explain or justify, and that is terrifying to someone who has relied on transactional relationships for nearly 2 decades. Cody thrives on chaos, on drama, on the reaction he can generate on camera, because that reaction translates into validation, fame, and ultimately financial security. When that equation is disrupted, the entire structure he depends on begins to wobble, and that wobble is visible to the public, even if it remains unspoken. It is what fuels the fandom obsession, the discussions, the theory crafting, the endless speculation, because when someone refuses to play the game, the audience can project the story they want to see. And in this case, the story they want to see is justice, because Janelle's journey has always been about reclaiming agency over her life, over her body, over her choices. And now her partner embodies that reclamation by refusing to commodify their love or sell it to the highest bidder. The psychology behind that decision is fascinating because it highlights a stark contrast in masculinity. Cody's approach has always been performative alpha, performative dominance centered on external validation, whereas this mystery man's masculinity is grounded in restraint, discipline, and respect. He provides security through presence, not performance. He protects through boundaries, not posturing. And that contrast is what makes Cody panic, because he is faced with an alternative model of masculinity that is both attractive and unassailable. And the audience recognizes it instantly. They see what he cannot see. He is loud and chaotic and performing, whereas this man is quiet, consistent, protective, and real. And that reality undermines Cody's constructed identity. In addition, the financial implications are enormous because Sister Wives has long been a family enterprise with revenue sharing and cost distribution that required participation and compliance from all involved. Without Janelle filming her private happiness, the show loses a crucial storyline, and the content deficit threatens profitability. That threat is compounded by the fact that the new partner appears financially independent and thus not vulnerable to the pressures of the show. This removes a key lever TLC traditionally uses to secure participation. The ripple effect extends to Robin as well, because her position as the legal wife was partially sustained by contrast. She looked like the peacemaker, the devoted spouse, because the other wives were framed as rebellious or difficult. But with Janelle withdrawing and Christine already established in her independent happiness, the mirror that sustained Robin's identity fractures, leaving her exposed, and the cameras capture that vulnerability, inevitably adding to the narrative tension. As the production team grapples with this new reality, they must reconsider how to construct storylines without access to the private lives of two major personalities. They face a dilemma. Do they pivot to Cody's disintegration as the central arc? Do they attempt to reconstruct a narrative with less compelling material? Or do they accept that the show has reached a natural conclusion and plan for a graceful exit? Each option carries risks, financial, narrative, and reputational, and none are simple to execute. Moreover, the fans are deeply engaged because they are witnessing what appears to be authentic human emotion. The gym coach theory adds layers to that engagement because it suggests that Janelle has cultivated a long-term emotional support system outside the toxic influence of Cody. It implies a mentorship that grew into partnership that respects autonomy and personal growth. It suggests that the man who nurtured her strength and resilience now shields her happiness from exploitation, and that protective role resonates with audiences who are tired of voyeuristic drama and craving stories of empowerment and self-respect. The commentary online reflects this sentiment. Users praise the mystery man for refusing the cameras, for prioritizing her well-being, for respecting boundaries, for embodying the kind of masculinity that supports rather than dominates the women in his life. And these discussions fuel an ongoing conversation about privacy, autonomy, and dignity in the context of reality television and polygamous family structures. The narrative becomes a case study in how power dynamics operate when traditional levers of control are removed. When visibility and surveillance are no longer tools of manipulation, the audience sees a clear dichotomy between performative dominance and authentic support, between transactional affection and genuine care, between exploitation and protection. And that dichotomy intensifies the appeal of Janelle's story because it validates her choices while challenging the norms established by decades of programming. And it is important to note the generational impact as well, because Janelle's sons are observing these dynamics, and the presence of a supportive adult male figure who respects her mother's autonomy provides a model for healthy masculinity that contrasts sharply with the paternal example they have endured for years. It is a subtle yet profound influence that extends beyond romance into emotional development and family stability. And the psychological safety afforded by this private relationship cannot be overstated. For a woman who spent nearly 2 decades under constant scrutiny, every moment analyzed, critiqued, and broadcast, the ability to exist without observation represents liberation. Liberation from judgment, liberation from obligation, liberation from performance. And that liberation is further magnified by her financial independence, her successful business ventures, her social influence, her physical strength, and her emotional resilience, all cultivated outside of the confines of Cody's control. And when combined with the presence of a partner who respects these achievements, it reinforces a narrative of empowerment that has both personal and public resonance. The speculation surrounding the identity of the mystery man feeds into this narrative because it allows the audience to project ideals of integrity, discretion, and stability onto him. The longer he remains unseen, the more potent the archetype becomes. He becomes a symbol of what a relationship can look like when it is grounded in mutual respect and personal growth, rather than necessity and spectacle. And that symbolic power is amplified by the contrast with Cody, who is unable to achieve similar validation through his public persona because his reliance on external approval and conflict makes him vulnerable to comparison and ridicule. It creates a situation in which the audience roots for autonomy and integrity over performative drama, over ego, over spectacle, and this dynamic is further reinforced by the precedent set by Christine and David, whose partnership is visible but not exploitative, and whose approval of Janelle's choices suggests a collective ethos of empowerment that extends beyond individual relationships into a broader commentary on agency. So here's the reality. Janelle has reclaimed her life, her love, and her privacy, and in doing so, she has flipped the script on Cody and the show. The cameras might be rolling, but the true story is happening off-screen. A man who values her peace over fame, a woman who refuses to be commodified, and the audience witnessing justice being served. This isn't just a love story, it's a revolution, and it proves that sometimes the most powerful reality is the one you never see on TV.